Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Now, the question for me is, right, who's the real African warrior? And it's an interesting conversation, and it's something that I think we need to sit here and talk about. Now, for those of you who are saying, what do you mean African warriors? Well, you got some guys here who happen to be African. Some people are going to have issue with Deontay Wilder saying he's African. But I'm going to tell you, just for the discussion and conversation, just go ahead and consider him African, because at the end of the day, when you trace, when you do the lineage, right, and you trace that all the way back, just to understand, from where you come, okay, which Deontay Wilder did, it shows that Deontay Wilder, his ancestors come, my understanding is Nigeria. So the thing is this: who are we to tell somebody that they have no right to try to understand who they are and who's their great grandmother, grandfather? I think that's interesting, and I think that should be lauded, and it shows character. With that being said, let's talk about Anthony Joshua. Now, for those of you who don't know, I'm always calling him Big Femi and saying Big Femi needs to return to the ring. I realize that some people don't understand why I call him Big Femi. So that's because Anthony Joshua's name is Anthony Olawafemi. That's where the Big Femi comes from. Olasimi Joshua. Now, Anthony Joshua, he was born, in the UK in Watford. His mother and father are Nigerian, right? Now, the thing is this: for Anthony Joshua, his lineage can be traced back to the Yoruba people. Now, I'm going to tell you this right now. Joshua spent a lot of his early years in Nigeria. And I'm going to tell you this right now. That has a lot to do with your development, and it has a lot to do with how the people see you. Joshua has friends from when he was a little kid there. He had classmates. People are going to know him. So there's a connection there. And I can tell you that from my own experience, being a little kid, born here in the United States, growing up in Trinidad and Tobago. You understand? I totally understand, because no matter what, the people, and I'm gonna assume it's the same for Nigeria. You're a Trinidadian. Yeah, I'm born here and all that, but they see you no matter what. They see you as one of them, and it's just a culture thing that some people won't understand. So for the most part, Anthony Joshua will say, I'm born in the UK. The Nigerians will say he's born in the UK, but they'll still say he's one of us. The same thing with me. He's one of us, because there's that connection there. All right? Now that being said, Anthony Joshua, I think, is fair to refer to him as, the fact is, he's of Nigerian lineage, right? His mother and father. But I think it's fair to refer to him as another Nigerian boxer. Now, when you get beyond him and you start talking about Deontay Wilder, a little bit different, but I'm not going to say he's wrong for identifying as being a Nigerian or whatever, right? I would never do that, okay? But what I will tell you is Deontay Wilder is born, raised Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Started boxing, later in life for his daughter. Did well in Golden Gloves. Long story short, gets to the Olympics, gets a bronze medal, and then he comes out here and we know what he's been doing ever since he's turned pro. So he is another one of these African warriors who, him and AJ just happen to be at the top of the heavyweight division, okay? But then there's somebody else who's been bubbling up, had a minor setback when he faced Frank Sanchez. Now that's F.A. Ajagba. Now I'm gonna tell you this right now, man. Ajagba took up the sport of boxing in 2011. Now he initially was playing a lot of football or soccer, right? But what happened is he ended up competing for the Nigerian team in the 2014 Commonwealth Games, after somebody witnessed him playing football and just saw his size and said, hey, you should try the sport of boxing. He was competing in the super heavyweight division, and he ended up defeating Junior Fa of Tonga. Now, a lot of you should know who Junior Fa, know that name. He's either still fighting or he recently retired. But Junior Fa was making some noise in the heavyweight division. That being said, man, he ended up going on to the semifinals in those South African games, and he ended up picking up a bronze medal. Now, fast forward past that, the 2015 African Games were held in Brazzaville, the Republic of Congo. Ajagba was selected as the Nigerian entrant in the men's super heavyweight division. He ended up winning a gold medal in that competition. and scoring 3-0 in the final round. Then in 2016, he ended up going to the African Boxing Olympic qualification tournament, where he ended up picking up some more medals and awards. But that being said, him being a bronze medalist in the Olympics, there's no surprise why Ajagba is still kind of plugging along, because he comes from that background, he has that pedigree. Now, I'm going to tell you this. Then you take a look at Francis Ngannou, right? Francis Ngannou, for people who didn't know, now even I had to sit here and get up to speed with him, man. You know, he started boxing before he decided to come to America. You see, he boxed for a year, then there was some illness and some issues, and then he ended up making that track to pursue his dreams. He was 26 years old, man. So Francis Ngannou, he really came to a lot of the sport and stuff later in life. But it's no surprise on why he's been able to perform the way that he's performed when you think about him working in those coal mines and stuff that he did as a young man all the way up until his 20s, working very, very hard. So that power that he has, that conditioning that he has, that durability that he has, that's not something you can teach to a fighter. Now, that being said, Francis Ngannou came out here. He did very well against Tyson Fury. Some say Tyson Fury wasn't in shape. He underestimated him. As a result, it was a little bit of karma for Tyson Fury. Stars lined up for Ngannou. So all the dreams, all the money, everything that he wanted to accomplish by leaving his country of Cameroon, well, in that one fight with Tyson Fury, he more than did that, because that one fight, he made more money than he ever made fighting in the UFC. So Francis Ngannou has achieved, I would say, the African dream. Okay? Now, when you look at it, people now are saying that he'll beat Deontay Wilder. To that, I got to say, hold your horses. Let's not take it to the stupid. I personally think the Tyson Fury that fought Deontay Wilder is not the Tyson Fury that got there with Ngannou. Now, I don't want to take nothing from Ngannou, all right? Because I don't want to end up in a situation like, oh, well, you might as well say that about Earl Spence and Terrence Crawford. Nope. I recognize what I'm saying, and I'm trying to be careful with my selection of words. But the Tyson Fury that fought Deontay Wilder, that wasn't the same one that fought Ngannou. Now, you guys know how I feel about Tyson Fury. I'll tell anyone he can fight. But I do think Tyson Fury hurt himself by, getting associated with Kinahan, getting associated with Usman Sajjad. And those two things is what put the doubt in my mind about Tyson Fury being an honest broker when he gets into the boxing ring, or when he got in the boxing ring with Deontay Wilder. All three fights, especially the second and third, right? So for those of you saying, man, why are you always talking about Tyson Fury, and why do you always say you got a hairy eyeball on him? Because I was the guy who was defending Tyson Fury for that second and third Wilder fight, saying there's no proof. Even the first fight, there's no proof. I hear you, but there's no proof. But once I learned that he had this relationship with Kinahan, and Kinahan said, hey, I'll get you back to the top of the heavyweight division in unimaginable wealth. And Bob Arum's paying consultation fees to a guy who was known for influencing fights and intimidating people. He got my attention. Still didn't buy into it. But when I found out he had Usman Sajjad in his corner, I said, well, goddamn, maybe there's some truth to all this. And that's when I started paying attention. That's when I said, okay, where there's smoke, there's probably fire. But that being said, if Ngannou was to fight Deontay Wilder, I don't think he beats him. If he fights Tyson Fury in a rematch, I don't think he beats him. Okay? So I think Deontay Wilder is better than Ngannou. I do. But again, styles make fights. We got to see how, stylistically, if they come together, how that works out. But I think it'd be a great fight, and I think somebody gets killed. Now, Anthony Joshua has more skill than all these other African warriors. I'll go ahead and tell you, there's no one who has more skill than Anthony Joshua. Power-wise, he's right up there with everybody. Anthony Joshua has everything you want. Everything. But something's wrong with him mentally. And this happens in the sport of boxing. Guys get hit, get knocked out, all of a sudden become gun-shy. People, I would say one of the worst cases, or extreme cases of someone getting hit and never really recovering, is Adrian Broner. Now, I'm going to tell you from experience, too. I've been in fights. I've been in sparring matches, too, to where I've hit people and, it affected them the rest of the fight. I've been hit, too, knowing I wasn't in the best shape in a sparring session that wasn't supposed to go the way it went. Getting there with somebody who was ready, he was actually getting ready for some goddamn national tournament. I didn't know that, but I was taking it to spar him, and I gave him the business the first 2 rounds. But then I started getting tired, and that joker was throwing some bombs, And he threw one, and I rolled with it, but I felt that shit, and I was like, nah. And I'm going to tell you, after that, I wasn't in there floating like a butterfly, stinging like a bee. I had a fast jab. I was jabbing, and then when he would get close, I would throw that left hand, but I would just lunge in and tie him up. And I did that, and at the end of like third round, I didn't come out anymore because I was too tired. My body was shaking. My legs were shaking. I was like exhausted. But I knew, yo, if that Joker hit me with some shit, I'm already tired. You know what I mean? I'm looking at everything. I'm anxious. I wasn't settled down. I was like in fight or flight mode, and I was a whole lot of fighting going on in that shit. That's how I think Anthony Joshua is. I think he's stuck in flight mode. You know, he's cool as long as he's getting the upper hand. But if you get a little fatigue or if someone hits him with a couple of shots, he goes into flight mode. He'll fight, but he'll go into flight mode if he starts to relive what he went through with Andy Ruiz or what he went through with Usyk. But out of all these guys, I think Anthony Joshua should be the label as the real African warrior. But at the end of the day, he's checked out mentally. This man's up there sleeping in dark cabins and getting spooked by the boogeyman because something reached from underneath the bed, according to him, and grabbed his ankle. So he, cut that little me time in the dark vacation. He cut that short, didn't he? When the boogeyman or the goddamn voodoo, the witch doctor, said they cast a spell on his ass, he got the hell out of there. But in all seriousness, Anthony Joshua is a guy who started boxing a little later in life, but just proved that there's something to him. Power, speed. He's a student of the game. He has everything, but he's not there mentally. Then F.A. Ajagba is just that guy, man. Let me tell you something. Ajagba, man, when he first came on the scene, he's like an Edgar Berlanga, knocking people out. He looked scary. When he talks, it scares people because he's got that Nigerian accent, and Nigerians just normally speak aggressively, you know what I mean? Like every one of them, even the women. That's just how they speak. But if you're not accustomed to being around Nigerian people, you could think they're yelling at you and shit. And that's not the case. Even being around people from the Caribbean, they're very, very outspoken, and they'll say anything to you. And it's not that they're trying to be disrespectful. That's just a cultural thing. Also, when I spent time in Asia a lot, and them Asians the same damn way, boy, especially them Koreans and Japanese, they'll come up and tell you, if you friends with them and stuff, and you disappear for a couple months and come back, maybe you gain a little bit of weight, they'll grab you by your belly and tell you that you're fat. That's what that guy said, must reduce. Used to have me laughing, man. Used to call me fat when I used to go back to the States for like 30, 45 days, because I used to eat and I wasn't in the boxing gym. But that being said, F.A. Ajagba, man, he came out here like the boogeyman. Had everybody scared like Berlanga did, man. All them knockouts. Had a man get in the ring and walk out the ring. Didn't the bell ring? Ding! He bounced. He was out of there. So, but that being said, F.A. Ajagba was on an upward trajectory until he ran into Frank Sanchez. And that's when I think everyone realized, well, he's not ready for that next level. And remember, Ajagba's an Olympian, bronze medalist. Frank Sanchez from that Cuban school of boxing. Frank Sanchez has speed and power. And Ajagba just couldn't handle it. He didn't really know what to do with that. So what that showed is there's a style to beat Ajagba. So Top Rank regrouped, got him, made those necessary corrections, and got him back on a winning course. And since then, Ajagba has been winning. He's been improving, and he's been looking better. But we got to question the opposition. You got to question the opposition. Look at his last fight, his second to last fight, Kazabutski. I don't know what that was. Okay, I honestly don't know what that was. He basically threw the fight. Then you look at his fight here with the guy over the weekend. That guy just didn't want to fight. Okay, so it's time for Ajagba to step up. And who he's gonna face, what he's gonna do, I don't know. But he's at that point to where he got to fight a top 10 guy, top 5 guy, because you keep winning, you're gonna keep bubbling up through the rankings. But at some point, you got to sit there and fight another Frank Sanchez equivalent. And what I mean by that is someone who's highly ranked. But out of all these guys, if you ask me to rack and stack them, the number one guy, in my opinion, I would say Deontay Wilder. Because he still just doesn't care. He come in a fight and he got that right hand. None of them, they all can do what Wilder can do. but not like Wilder. You know what I'm saying? It's just something about that something about that Deontay Wilder right hand. It's because when he hits you, he knocks you out cold. It's not like he's hitting you and you fumble around the ring. You're out cold. So I got to make Deontay Wilder the top dog, but he's inactive. So the African Warriors got to figure it out. Anthony Joshua, I make him number 2. We know that he's got things going on with these self-exploration and trying to understand who he is and whatever he has going on. But let's not take it to the stupid and take away from what Anthony Joshua has accomplished in boxing and his skill set and what he brings to the table. Anthony Joshua is an outstanding fighter. He just gotta find the big Femi in him again to come out here and continue to do what he was doing before and dominate in the heavyweight division. And after that, you got Ngannou and you got Ajagba. And I think those guys, I think they're both 50-50. I'm going to be honest with you. I think Ngannou and Ajagba is 50-50. They both, and the thing about all these guys, you're talking about height and reach, they're all about the same. 6'5" to 6'7". Reach, 80 to 84 inch reach. I mean, they're all about the same. Power, they all can knock you out. You know what I'm saying? But to me, it comes down to who's committed to really getting in there and trying to destroy you. I think that's Wilder first. I think, as far as, that may be Ngannou as far as that. But when I break it down as who I think would win, I think Wilder beats them all. Then I think AJ beats Ngannou and Ajagba. And Ngannou and Ajagba, I think it's 50-50. That's how I see it. So who's the real African warrior? They're all real African warriors, man. Gonna sit here, man, and break them guys down like that. I'm not doing that. But the top dog, in my opinion, is Deontay Wilder. But, man, they need to make... I don't know what the holdup is. I know the Saudis are working their way into that African market. People keep talking about, why go to Africa? You know how many people are in Africa? Forget the little countries, on that continent. The amount of people over there? It's like China. When you can get into those markets and somehow stimulate things to where now the economy is bubbling and people are willing to pay money for certain events, whether it's on pay-per-view or what, if you can somehow stimulate that market, Jesus Christ, there's a lot of money to be made. There's people over there doing all kind of stuff in Africa, from minerals and all kind of precious metals, all kind of stuff going on. But my thing is this. I would love to see them have, right now, the biggest fight that could be made, in my opinion, would probably be Francis Ngannou. And I think Anthony Joshua, if that fight was to be made in Africa. Because, again, Deontay Wilder, he did his little genealogy thing, and he understands way, like R. Kelly said, am I way, way past? And Deontay Wilder's way, way past. Grandparents probably came, great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandparents probably came from Nigeria. And that carries some weight, and they're gonna love him because for that, till this day, that was echoed around the world. But I still think Anthony Joshua is, no kidding, he's got the real roots there in Nigeria, and then Ngannou is Cameroonian. But I think if you have that fight, I think the market in Nigeria may be a little bit bigger, a little bit better. The economy is more sound. I think that would be a huge fight. And I know for a fact that there'd be some big time money there for these guys. At Ajagba, I think it doesn't matter where he fights. I think especially in Nigeria, I think it's going to be huge. But right now, the biggest name is Ngannou, Anthony Joshua, then Wilder, and Ajagba, I think, is at second tier as far as the how people will respond as far as a fight. I think Wilder and Ajagba, their names aren't as big. An event wouldn't be as big as having like an Anthony Joshua and Ngannou fighting. Excuse me. That being said, you leave your comments below and you let me know who you think is the real African warrior. I personally think they're all real African warriors. I think they all deserve respect. height-wise the same, power-wise the same, reach the same, IQ, big difference there. But bottom line is they can all fight. Durability, I don't know. Some are more durable than others, I'll tell you that. And conditioning, they all seem to have, pretty damn good conditioning. So it's pretty evenly matched. I just think IQ makes a big difference. I do. And for that's why I think Deontay Wilder, I think he tranquilizes all of them if they were to ever fight. That being said, y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.